Welcome back, once again, adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Child. Uh, just want to briefly apologize again for the fact that for some reason Bandicam didn't record my audio commentary at all whatsoever, despite the fact that I was pretty sure that I had all my settings correct, but yeah, not something that I can fix easily if it happens, and I really don't want to re-record the episode again. Um, so moving on. Speaking of the last episode, there was actually quite a lot that had happened. First and foremost, we actually got a glimpse into what happened after Shinjo Arimura died in the Shibuya earthquake trying to rescue Hinae. Was the fact that it turned out that he went looking for her. Um, well, to clarify, both of them went to get presents for the other, and when the earthquake happened, Shingo had returned to the apartment believing that Hinae was still there, and unfortunately got buried in the rubble, and then later Hinae did. But when she confronted her mother about it in the hospital, it was the first time that her mother had ever told the truth to young Hinae. Basically, confirming her worst fears that it was indeed her fault, quote unquote, that Shingo got trapped in that building when it collapsed. And that truth was what would ultimately shatter the last vestiges of family happiness in Hinae Arimura's life. Second of all is the unsurprising once again moment where Hana Kazuki actually found the confidence to actually speak in words and sentences and paragraphs. This time of her own volition instead of with the unwitting help of Hinae there. But Kazuki seems to blame herself for the fact that Hinae can see Shingo Arimura, and also citing the reason that she herself is also an awakened gigolomaniac. Now, it's entirely possible that Hinae showed Kazuki her D-sword and ultimately confirmed that Hana Kazuki is in fact a bona fide gigolomaniac, but since we haven't seen it, well, at the moment we have no choice but to take her at face value, I guess. But the truth will eventually reveal itself. But the last piece of shocking news has come from none other than Takeshi Shinjo, who has telephoned Takuru over at the newspaper club room with two bits of news. Basically that there has been a third victim after Moe Ishida and Koichiro Arimura. A woman in her 40s by the name of Hinako Mikami was also murdered. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this Hinako Mikami was in fact the erstwhile lover of Koichiro Arimura. But the prime suspect in their deaths wasn't what I'd originally thought. Not that you could hear it from my previous commentary, since that didn't get recorded, but I was under the suspicion, as well as everyone else, that Hinae Arimura, based on her disappearance at the present moment, would actually be described as being the chief suspect in this investigation. Or so I believed, but according to Takeshi Shinjo, it is none other than Mikami Arimura, Hinae's mother, who is considered the prime suspect. Now, if that is the case, then she would have reason, or at least certainly motive, if not reason, to murder Hinako, Mikami, and Koichiro Arimura, but why Moe Ishida? Let alone the fact that of the as yet unidentified first victim, the decapitated burnt corpse, whose identity is still yet to be determined. Still don't know how that all ties together. But yeah, things are not looking good for Hinae Arimura. Not at all.
Takuru,
And it doesn't seem like she's picking up her smartphone.
ダメだ、繋がらない。
She's trying to escape the gaze of her late brother Shinjo. And to add insult to injury, Takuru's information has once again led him down the wrong path. And as a result, even he didn't believe that Hinae was actually hallucinating or perceiving the ghost of her brother Shingo. And that unfortunately was what led her to run away in the first place. Kurusu and the others had arrived in the club room afterward, and I filled them in on the situation. We tried to call her, but with no luck. Maybe she didn't want to answer my calls. Yeah, she's not in the mood to trust you right now, especially how things turned out before.
くそ、僕のせいだ。僕が有村を疑ってしまったから。
Yeah, because Takuru's theory was that Hinae was so guilt-ridden and paranoid to the fact that she had, for some reason, believed herself to be her own brother Shingo, which a fact that could actually be easily disputed given Hinae's reaction to Shingo. But because of Takuru's line of inquiry, we have unfortunately broken the trust that Hinae Arimura placed in Takuru Miyashiro.
今はそんなこと言ってる場合じゃないでしょ。
I would say that now is the perfect time for that.
そうだよ。早くひなちゃんの居場所を突き止めなきゃ。
Yeah, but even with all of us combing around Shibuya, it's not going to be easy to track her down.
そうは言っても電話したって出てくれないし、どこにいるのかもわからないんだ。このままじゃ。
でもどうにかするしかないじゃない。何かいい方法を考えましょう。
But will that help? A way. There was no way. And then someone handed me a phone. Out of nowhere. Well, thank you very much, Kazuki. Also, you're going back to the silent treatment because, yeah, don't want to derail everything with the fact that you can actually now speak.
和樹、
つながったかも。ひなさんに。
Or I take that back. I was wrong. It seems like Kazuki is now comfortable with speaking in public. But more importantly, looks like Kazuki tried to ring Hinae and got a return call. Because even though Hinae no longer trusts Takuru, there is one person that she could still trust. That she still does trust, and that's Kazuki. Should have probably thought of that sooner. I grabbed the phone and put it up to my ear.
もしもし。もしもし。
Ah, so Hinae tried to get in touch with Kazuki.
有村か。僕だ、宮代だ。
先輩。
sounds terrified.
待て、切るな。切らないで聞いてくれ。
Come to think of it, I wonder if Hinae herself has heard what has happened.
疑って悪かった。有村は間違っていなかった。間違っていたのは僕だ。だから謝る。この通りだ。
I think we're well past the point of apologies.
今すぐ会えないか。会って話したいことがあるんだ。
今は無理です。
I'm starting to get concerned.
どうして？
今からお母さんと会う約束をしてるんです。
Ah, that is a complication. Yeah, that is a complication.
だからその後なら。
And judging from the deliberate way you're enunciating your sentences there, Hinae, I think it's safe to assume that you already know that Megami is a suspect. In fact, the suspect.
ダメだ、有村。行くな。その約束は。
And too late.
タク、ひなちゃんは？
Yeah, didn't ask that
切
question.
れた。
Unfortunately, probably should have done that. Yeah, we dropped the ball on that one. I called back, but she didn't answer. She either wasn't getting a signal or she turned off her phone. I'd say the latter. Either way, we had no way of contacting her now.
有村のやつ、今から母親に会うって。
Yeah, which is the worst possible outcome now.
おい、それってまずいんじゃねえか。
That is the understatement of the century.
どこで会うかわからないの？
Unfortunately, no.
今の時間でそこまで聞き出せるわけないだろ。
何か手がかりはないの？二人で一緒に行ったところとか思い出の場所とか。
バカ言うなよ。母親と会うのにそんなところ。
Wait. Would she? I thought I heard... I didn't hear anything, but then I wasn't really paying attention. But good thing Takuru did. He heard something. I heard a sound on the other side of the phone. That was probably as unlikely as it seems. I remembered my conversation with Shinjo as I ran. Gonna get the two of them confused.
有村の母親？有村のお母さんが犯人だって言うんですか？
石田萌殺し以降の事件についてはほぼ間違いないと見ていい。それからその前の焼死体についてもおそらくは。
Define pretty sure. Serica and the others had insisted I put the phone on speaker mode. I did that before I continued.
でも有村のお母さんがどうして？
Yeah, why indeed? Why Moe Ishida?
有村家が家庭として破綻していたのは知っているか？
Oh, we already gathered
ま
that
あ
much.
なんとなくは
It was easy to imagine after what Arimoto had told me.
有村ひなえの父親と母親はそれぞれ別の相手、いわゆる愛人がいて、事実上生活の基盤はほぼそっちにあったらしい。
Yeah, no wonder Hinae wouldn't feel like telling this to the others. Although she probably confided in Kazuki.
ところが20年近く続いていた有村めぐみと愛人との仲は先月の頭に突如破綻。どうやらその頃から彼女の様子は少しおかしくなっていたようだ。
Wait a minute. Could that be referring to the first victim?
当初自分を捨てた愛人へ向けられていた憎悪は次第に自らの家庭と夫に向けられるようになった。
Oh dear.
そもそも家庭が幸せであれば、夫がしっかりしてさえいれば、自分が外で浮気することもなかったと。
That's what she said, but I think both of them are to blame. In fact, there's no thinking about it. They're definitely responsible for what happened.
そんな。
If neither of them had done the things that they did, then the tragedy that befell Shinjo and Hinae would never have occurred. Kurusu raised her voice in anger at Arimoto's mother's selfless actions.
やがてその考えはエスカレートし、最終的には娘である有村ひなえに向けられるようになったらしい。
Well, Megami blamed Hinae for Shingo's death.
どうして有村に
Even though Hinae pretty much would have done the same thing and did do the same thing as Shingo did.
有村ひなえこそが有村家がバラバラになる決定的な要因であり、また有村めぐみが愛人と別れることになった原因でもあったからだそうだ。
No, the family was already torn apart long before Hinae's awakening. Arimoto's real father was her mother's lover. Oh. That complicates things even further. Of course her dad knew this. Her birth had caused a rift in the Arimoto family. It had essentially ceased to be a family at all. Well, if they didn't have separate lovers, then such a thing would never have happened. What was worse was the strange power Arimoto had. She seemed to have it under control now, but at first she hadn't known how to handle it. Well, of course not. As a result, her mother had come to fear and loathe her for being able to discern when she was being truthful and when she was lying through her teeth.
精神的に不安定になった有村めぐみは自分を捨てた愛人を殺害し、首を切断した上で遺体を焼却。
So it was Hinae's biological father. So that was the first murder.
さらには自らの不幸の原因となった娘有村ひなえと夫有村光一郎の殺害を目論んだ。
Yeah. She probably murdered Moe Ishida to try and make Hinae feel even more guilty.
第二の被害者である石田萌は有村ひなえと間違われ誤って殺されたと警察では見ている。
Well, that is certainly a possibility. Moe Ishida did emulate Hinae Arimura too well, it
そして
seems.
彼女は現在警察の手を逃れ娘である有村ひなえの殺害を企てていると考えられる。
And Hinae's going to meet her face to face. Yeah, things are falling apart far too rapidly. It was her mother, Megami Arimura, who had killed her father and the others. And now her mother was trying to kill her too. And then there were the phantoms of her dead brother. We need to find her, and quickly. I may have done something terrible, but there's no use dwelling on that now. All I could do now was find Arimura as fast as possible, and stop her from meeting with her mother. Shibuya is a large place. As I said earlier, my lungs were already at their limit. My lack of exercise had caught up with me and my legs weren't doing what I told them to. But I had to keep going. Because I was sure. But can we find her in time? That's the question. I think what I heard was... Arimura was probably around here somewhere. And we can hear her voice. And as I thought, she went there to confront her mother about her actions. I heard her. That voice was definitely Arimura's.
どうしてなのママ
Unfortunately, it's going to turn out just as it did in that hospital room. Where was she?
決まってるでしょう。あんたのせいだからよ。
こうだ。
Better pick up the pace. We need to be careful.
ママ
I looked for my... Oh, we're suddenly in first person with Hinae, it seems. I looked for my mother where she'd said she'd be. I was so surprised when she suddenly texted me. I'm also surprised that we're in first person with a different character. This is the first time this has happened. Normally, when we see anyone other than Takuru Miyashiro, it's always in the third person. I never thought that she'd actually want to see me. Spoiler warning, she doesn't. At first I thought that there was no way I'd ever meet her. I couldn't believe what she said either. I was so sad to lose your father that way. Well, there is another way to get around Hinae's lie detecting powers. Text or write things down. It's not, well, yeah, not so easy to use Hinae's powers when they're not actually speaking to you face to face. But even with that said, I'm pretty sure Hinae is intuitively astute enough at this point to realize that this is a blatant lie. But maybe she really meant it. No, she's just trying to get around being found out. I hadn't talked to my mother in a long time. Mother had started avoiding me when she realized I had the power to tell when she was lying, hence the text message. So I didn't know what had happened to her and Dad since then, and I didn't care. I figured that after my brother's death, they hadn't tried to get back together. They both split off to do their own thing, and that ended as tragically as it could. But maybe she changed, or maybe she got worse. Maybe Dad's death had made her rethink things. Now there is a forlorn hope if ever there was one. So I decided to do what she'd hoped I would, which is probably your greatest mistake. It was the last wish I had left. So I'd come to meet my mother. And I immediately regretted it. Unfortunately, it's too late for regrets. Should have come to that realization sooner.
来てくれて嬉しいわ。
And there she is, but she's clearly not in her right mind. Even though she looks happy, her face is quite exhausted. She doesn't quite look natural there. She really meant it. But not
ず
in
っ
the
と
way
会い
you
たかったの
think.
よ。
Yeah, she's wanted to see Hinae after all this time, but not out of the milk of human kindness. She meant that too.
パパが亡くなって、ママにとって大切なのはあなただけ。
Well, those first two statements might have been the truth, as cleverly vague as they were. Ah, that was a lie.
これからはママと二人、ずっと一緒よ。
Also a lie.
さあ、もっとこっちに来て。その可愛い顔をよく見せて。
Lie, lie, lie. All lies.
ね
Well, two
え
of them
ママ
weren't, but yeah. I said.
どうしてそんな嘘つくの？
嘘じゃないわ。ママは本当にあなたのこと。
No. You wanted to see Hinae Arimura so you could get your revenge.
嘘よ。私にはわかる。わかるもん。ママが本当のこと言ってないって。
ひなちゃんこそ、どうしてそんなこと言うの？ママはこんなにあなたのこと愛しているのに。
それも嘘。
Mother looked surprised for a second, but then she looked down at her feet and didn't say anything. You can't pull the wool over her eyes there, Megami, even if Hinae wants to believe in you. Maybe I said too much, but it also needed to be said.
ママ。
Let's just hope Takuru can get here in
わ
time.
かったわよ。だったら本当のことを言ってあげる。
Yeah, she's definitely certified crazy.
ママ。
Was this a real voice? Yeah, Megami isn't going to hold back anymore.
あんたのせいよ。
This was her real voice.
だいたい最初から慎吾さえいなければパパと結婚しなくてもよかったのに。
Ah, so you didn't just regret Hinae's existence, you also regretted Shingo. Her words.
だけどあんたはあの人との子だから大切にしてあげたのに、それなのに。あんたみたいな子が生まれたせいで私の人生はめちゃくちゃよ。
Indeed. You regretted the fact that Shingo was born, so you had to marry Koichiro, and you regretted the fact that Hinae was born, so it tied you to your lover. So you hated them both. Totally true.
産まなきゃよかった。シンゴもあんたみたいな気持ちの悪い子もみんな生まれてこなきゃよかったのよ。
I think the only creepy person in this scenario right now is you. She was telling the truth. At least, it is the truth she believes.
ママの前から、私の前から消えて。
The words I wanted to hear, needed to hear. The words I didn't want to hear.
ほら、ね。シンゴもそう望んでるわ。
Once again, Megami, it was your own twisted selfishness as well as Koichiro's that led to this unfortunate family disarray.
お兄ちゃん。
そうよ。お兄ちゃんがね、毎日ママのところに来て言うのよ。痛い痛い、死にたくなかったって。
Is that the truth?
お兄ちゃん。
Unfortunately, Megami is starting to get under Hinae's skin with mention of Shingo.
全部あんたたちのせいよ。したくもない結婚をしたのも、家庭がめちゃくちゃになったのも、私の幸せを奪ったのも、全部あんたたちのせい。
I don't think you ever wanted a family in the first place, Megami Arimura. All you wanted was your own selfish happiness.
あんたたちが生まれたから、あんたみたいな化け物が生まれたから。だからあの人も。
She was telling the truth. This was the truth that I wanted to hear. But if this was the truth, then
私の気持ち分かってくれるでしょ。だったらね。
I do, and it sickens me to my very core. Yeah. Gonna do the whole Sakuma thing, even if Megami is Hinae's biological mother. Megami took something out from her bag. The towel it was wrapped in fell off, and I could see a little bit of sunlight glinting off the exposed metal. Even if I knew what it was, I couldn't move. It's either a knife or a gun. The truths that I just heard shocked me so much that I couldn't move.
あなたさえいなければ、私は幸せになれるの。
Is that so? Megami smiled. It was the first time I'd seen her real smile.
ママ。
バイバイ、ひなちゃん。
She came closer. She looked so happy. There was nothing I could do but wait for her embrace. God damn it.
有村はこの辺りに。
Unfortunately, you're a little too slow there. That voice.
全部あんたたちのせい。あんたみたいな化け物が生まれたから。
It was Arimoto's. I ran toward the voice, and under the dimly lit bridge, in an empty space with nothing but the sound of the trains, Arimoto was there.
あなたさえいなければ、私は幸せになれるの。
There was a woman standing in front of her. She was so tired she looked very aged, but she was probably in her early 40s. The woman took something out of her bag.
ママ。
バイバイ、ひなちゃん。
When the woman started walking toward Arimoto, I knew everything. At this rate, Arimoto would be killed. But from where I was standing, I couldn't reach her. Now, there is one thing we can do if we have the courage to use it. Damn it. She was right in front of me. Was I just supposed to let her die? Damn it, damn it, damn it. Well, we don't have a choice.
有村!
I screamed as loud as I could. Or we could do that, which might not help, but... The woman didn't hear my voice. She held the blade in front of her and began to run. We make it in time. And then I saw something in the corner of my eye. It's about time you showed up. It was... a D-sword. There was a loud noise and the woman suddenly recoiled backward. Then she grabbed her ears and fell to her knees. Red drops fell from between her fingers. Was that my power? My powers had caused her earrings to move, ripping them out from her ears, but only held her back for a moment. She glared at Arimoto and charged with the blade once more. Well, at least it wasn't a gun. Slight hope that.
有村!
But we need to stop Megami right now. I flung myself between them. Sound of a train. The warning bells as the crossing bars lowered. Light and shadow intersecting. Also that red flash. And a burning pain. Yeah. Good news is, it wasn't Hinae Arimoto who got stabbed. Bad news is... yeah. We took the hit.
先輩、宮代先輩。
Didn't have to take the hit, but we took it anyway. Because of course. Well, I heard footsteps somewhere deep in my head. Oh, we foiled Megami's revenge, even if she did manage to escape. Arimoto's mother would probably come back to her senses after stabbing me and then run off somewhere. I doubt that she actually did that. but the pain was so strong that I couldn't look to see. Also, I broke my earlier sentiment there.
有村
I must have passed out without realizing it, because the next thing I knew, Arimoto was cradling her head on my lap.
先輩、じっとしててください。今救急車を。
ごめん有村
It's a noble thing, but we really didn't have to take the damage. I softly rubbed her cheek. Her pretty pale skin was stained dark red with my blood.
どうして謝るんですか？
あの時信じてやれなくてだから
Yeah, Takuru didn't place his trust in Hinae, and now look where we end up.
先輩。
もしも許してくれるならもう一度
Once again, I think we're past the point of forgiveness.
有村
Was she crying?
私こそごめんなさい。あんな風に飛び出していったりして。
It wasn't your fault.
先輩は最後まで私のことを、それなのに。
Arimoto.
だからお願い、先輩、死なないで。
Harimoto's tears wet my cheeks. The tears fell in great numbers, rolling off my cheeks and hitting the ground.
有村
But I was already...
有村僕は
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that that stab was fatal. Or perhaps not. When I woke up from my sleep, I saw the face of the person I'd been dreaming of and panicked.
あれ、私眠って。宮代先輩。
なんだ起きたのか
ごめんなさい。先輩を待ってる間にうとうとしちゃってました。
別にそれくらい気にしなくていいって
Well, seems like that knife attack wasn't quite so fatal. He was always nice to me. So nice. So sometimes I wanted to let him spoil me.
何
宮代先輩って優しいですよね。
And for the first time in a long time, Hinae Arimoto is being her genuine self at Heikyo Academy.
何言ってんだよ急に僕は別に
And there's Takuru's classic embarrassment.
優しいですよ。だってあの時私を助けに来てくれたんですもん。
That he did.
それは有村が心配だったから
And that should be truth enough.
ねえ先輩、
なんだよ。
痛みます？傷。
But being stabbed is pretty painful.
まあ時々は。でもこれくらい大したことないし。
I guess that means we're even with Kurisu.
ごめんなさい。私のせいで。
No, it was Megami's fault, not yours.
だからあれは有村のせいじゃないって何度も言ってるだろ。
ううん。やっぱり私のせいです。私の心が弱かったから。だから。
They were referring to Shinjo.
有村。
Still haven't figured that out, it seems.
でもね、私気づいたんです。世界は本当か嘘、どちらかで割り切れるものじゃないって。
No, you can't.
世
It all
界に
gets
は
mixed together.
嘘と本当が半分ずつあって、私たちはそれを承知で受け入れていかなきゃいけないんだって。そうじゃなきゃきっと誰も立ち行かなくなってしまうから。
That's
もっ
certainly
と
true.
早くにそう気づいてれば、私は。
Megami had been arrested shortly after that. An officer at a police box had seen her staggering down the street covered in blood and taken her in. She lost her mind to the point where they weren't even sure she could stand trial. That's just how it is. But she had to go to some hospital, Shinjo had said. It was her own fault that this had happened to her. But part of it was my fault too. Not really. I would have to carry the burden of that truth for the rest of my life. Well, that was the truth that Megami herself convinced herself to believe.
でも有村は気づいたんだろ。世界は嘘と本当の半分半分でできてるって。
はい。
だったらもう大丈夫だろ。それさえ分かっていれば前に進んでいけるはずだ。
Takuru with his rare moment of encouragement there.
はい。
Miyashiro would always tell me the path I needed to follow. So I...
宮代先輩、一つお願いがあるんですけど。
お願い？なんだよ。
キスしてもらってもいいですか？
And she's actually being sincere with that, not coy at all.
嫌ですか？
嫌じゃないけど。
Much to Takuru's chagrin.
あ、お前今。
その言葉が本当ならいいですよね。キス。
だからそれは。
うん。
Kazuki's attitude here seems to be either one of anger or mild encouragement.
花、いたの？
Probably anger.
うーん。
Definitely anger.
だったらもう少しの間だけ見ないふりしててくれればよかったのにな。
Yeah, real anger. That wall is getting destroyed tonight.
だから壁を叩くなって壊れるだろ。
I was so close too, but denied. Denied by Kazuki.
もうタクったらこんなところにいた。今日は復興祭、みんなで行く予定でしょ。
So it's that time, is it? November 6th.
なんだ、有村も一緒か。さては二人して乳くり合ってやがったな。
Were it not for Kazuki, certainly.
乳くりって伊藤くん、もうちょっと言い方に気をつけなさい。
Yeah, what Kurisu said. Sheesh. It might be a while before I get that kiss at this rate. God damn it, Hinae.
先輩。
ん？
行きましょっか、復興祭。
ああ。うん。
その代わり、二人で。
え？
I grabbed his hand and started to run.
だって約束でしょ。ほら、行きましょう、先輩。
あ、おい、ちょっと。
Looks like we're going. And Kazuki's still mad.
ああ、二人で抜け駆け、ずるい。
No running in the
ほら、
halls.
廊下は走っちゃダメよ。
Yeah, or Baldy might come after you.
そこかよ。
But it seems that Hinae is having fun. He was right. As long as I was with him, I could keep going forward, even in a world of truth and lies. Because when he'd come to save me, I knew that his feelings were true. So...
ありがとう、先輩。
And so they went. And once again we actually get the very creepy ending here. Very creepy ending, if I might say so myself. Even if it is song, oh, we can skip it. Okay. Not that I mind listening to Phantasm Song. Also, that was actually the bad ending of Hinae Arimura's True World route. The reason I got this was because there were certain conditions that I deliberately chose not to get. So we didn't officially get Hinae's actual ending there. But that will be for the next episode, adventurers, so when we return, I shall take the steps necessary to actually properly obtain the True World ending of Hinae Arimura's character route. So until that point, adventurers, as always, until next we meet.